Hey everyone, welcome. I'm really excited to introduce Leonard Wax, who is going to be presenting on Beyond the University new couple of slides here. I want to thank the sponsor of this conference, which is ClassFlow, and also all right, so most of you are familiar now with the map slides. So if you want to grab the tool, the second tool down on your toolbar on the left side of your whiteboard screen here, and you can go ahead and point to where you're at, where you're logging in from. We have Payush in India, who's been a very active participant in this conference. Thank you so much. And I see Monk 51295. I'm not sure if that's your full name or not. Where are you logging in from? You can go ahead and type in the chat too. So I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. Payush, it's probably pretty late for you. It's got to be close to midnight. All right. Excellent. Okay. Thanks, guys. So I'm going to move to here, and I'm going to turn it over to Leonard. Leonard, if you want to turn your mic on, and you can take it away.
Okay, great. Okay, here I am on the video as well. Hello, and welcome. Yeah, I'm Leonard Wax. I'm Emeritus Professor at Temple University. I've been looking at the education technology interface for 50 years. My recent book is called Education 2.0, The Learning Web Revolution and the Transformation of the School. And today I'm going to be talking about the college trap and about MOOCs as a part of the solution to that. What I have to say about both the college trap and MOOCs is somewhat different than things you may be hearing elsewhere, and let me get started. Now, Amy, do I just click my own slides here?
Yeah, that works fine.
I guess so. Perfect. Okay, so you all know about the college trap. Students are facing rising tuition, they're going deeply into debt, they are, in many cases, dropping out of college without debt, and when they get out of college, they're having a very hard time finding jobs. 50% of recent college graduates have not found jobs in the areas where which they studied in college. So what are we going to do about this? Are MOOCs the solution? How can MOOCs help? And can MOOCs help by becoming like a college education for free, which was the idea that Daphne Kohler and other original MOOC founders propagated. We're going to find out about that, but first of all, part one of my talk. Our talk is in two parts. First part is about the college trap, and the second part is about MOOCs and how they may help us get out of that. So let me move on now to the story of Joe College. The first part of my talk is a story, and you can call it the rise and fall of Joe College. So Joe is a kind of zealot-like figure. He shows up at different parts in history, and we're going to start his story in about 1800. 1800 is a good place to start. Because if you look at the society, it's about 95% rural. People are yeoman farmers. There's a very small group in the cities. This is a picture of Joe's father. He's very fond of this. Joe's a farm boy. He's going perhaps to Harvard College. And when you look at what's going on in the education in a society, the first thing you notice is that very few people have ever stepped foot in any kind of school or college. There's almost universal literacy, but families teach their children. Children are, for the most part, home schools. There are district schools for the indigent kids, but they are very spotty, very underserved, and there are no district schools in the towns. There are no high schools. Joe never went to high school, and almost nobody goes to college. A tiny fraction of 1%. People there are studying Latin and Greek and logic, so that they can prepare for the ministry or get a little background before they go apprentice as doctors or lawyers or other kind of professionals that need that kind of ancient background, because there are no professional schools of any kind. Harvard and I think Columbia started their first medical departments in 1789. So you have your first medical schools starting then. There's one law school, but almost no lawyer goes to law school. They just go and apprentice with a lawyer. So where's Joe in all of this? He's pretty irrelevant. His college degree is not going to help him very much. Let's move Joe along now to 1820. Now the society is really booming. We have the new textile mills. Industry is popping. We're needing more workers for the mills. We have the farm daughters who start working there, but after a while we start having immigration from Ireland and the like, and we have the farm kids coming on, the economic elites are telling the colleges, we need training in mechanical engineering, we need training in business management and in commerce, accounting. The colleges say, screw that, we don't care about that, that kind of stuff is beneath us. So the economic elites in Boston start the first high school, 1821, Boston High School, and the high school picks up the curriculum for the University of Pennsylvania that Benjamin Franklin had proposed, but that was rejected just a few decades earlier. And we start getting a high school for useful knowledge. And it has the same curriculum pretty much that it still has today. Science, math, history, literature, and a few occupational courses. The important thing is almost nobody goes to high school. People go, and the ones that go do not go to graduate. They never think of graduating. They take a course in bookkeeping, a course in navigation, a course in mechanical drawing, and bang, they've got a better leg up on all these new jobs in the mill for the bookkeepers and for the managers and the like. So the best advice to Joe College is transfer to high school. Joe, if you want a good job, go to high school. Now, let's move on to 1870. Now I'm going to do a look at 1870. Now the nation is really booming. The Civil War is over. We've got the Transcontinental Railroad. We have railroad links throughout the entire mid part of the country, south and north, enabling big national markets. You're starting to get the age of the huge factories, of the huge food processing industries in Chicago, huge city growth in Cincinnati and in St. Louis, people moving west for opportunity. And now for the first time, you have colleges that are beginning to serve the growing industry. The Cornell starts in about 1868 or 1870, and you start getting these land-grant colleges that were created in the 1860s but had no students. They now have a lot of students because they are training the engineers, the agricultural scientists, the business managers, and the like. When Penn opened his business school in about 1880, it became the main school of the University of Pennsylvania. So now college kids are getting lots of opportunities. It's not their diploma that's getting them the opportunities. It's the actual knowledge that they have, because there's a huge demand for that knowledge in industry. Now take a quick look at what college students look like in 1880. We have a picture here from the new University of Syracuse. And look at what Joe College looks like. He's dressed pretty nice. He's got a nice suit on. He's kind of defining himself as the kind of upper middle class bourgeois guy. And look at this. Who is this girl? Is that Joe College's prom date? No. Girls are going to college too for the first time. Okay? So we now have Joe and Jane College. And they are getting all these jobs. They are going from high school. Well, they may be going straight to college. They may be going to high school. They go to college, and they get all these great jobs because they're going to the business school, the engineering school, the agricultural science school, and the like. And they are getting into and growing the industries. Now I'd like to get to the next slide here, because this is the first piece of heavy lifting. Why do employers want college graduates? And the answer is because it reduces their transaction cost. The transaction cost of an employer is the cost of finding, qualifying, assessing, training, and bringing a worker into the workplace. Now, if you don't have college courses in engineering, but you're looking for an engineer, what do? You go there trying to find somebody who builds a bridge. It takes a lot of time to find these people, to figure out whether they know what they're doing, to find out whether or not you're going to be able to fit them into the workplace, etc. But once you have enough college graduates with a diploma in engineering, okay, or a diploma in business, diploma in communications, a diploma in transportation management and the like, all you have to do is go down to the state university and recruit them. You know that these guys are going to have the standard kind of training, the standard level of knowledge. They've trained in a standard setting, and they're going to fit in just fine. It radically reduces the cost of finding and hiring and putting these guys to work. And so that extra money that you have saved can be put to work by giving the diploma holder a higher wage, steady work, and benefits. The secret to the full-time job with benefits is that you have enough people who have the right diploma that you can use the diploma as a filter, and you can get enough people in and reduce your transaction costs so that you can pass on the benefit to them. Okay, I need to go down on my slides here a bit. Let me pause for just a second. I need to check my notes. Okay, let me explain this concept just a little bit further. Suppose that only 5% of kids are going to college. I'll put this thing in front of me. If you suppose that only 5% of kids are going to college, that means that 95% don't have diplomas. That means that if you're going to use the college diploma as your filter, you could filter out 95%. So you're a very lucky guy. You get all the advantages of being filtered in. Suppose you have 30% only graduating from high school. Well, that still filters out 70% of the people. So you can start using the filter to hire people for the better jobs, the jobs with benefits and the like. You can hire them because you know that they're reliable, that they finished school, that they've stood for all the tests and the bells and everything else like that. So they can get full-time jobs with benefits also. We only reached this number, 5% of college grads for white males and 30% of high school grads in 1945. So now it's a tremendous advantage to have a diploma, and you can be hired because of your diploma, not just because of what you know, because they're going to just look for you because you have the diploma and keep you out if you don't have it. Okay, the next slide here is Joe College on the GI Bill. Now, after 1950, the American factories were really booming like crazy. We had the only functioning economy in the world. Japan's economy and Germany's economy, Austria's economy, they had been destroyed by the war. So, and England's economy, they'd been bombed out and the like. So we were, through the Marshall Plan, lending tons of money abroad, and the countries abroad were using it to buy American-produced goods. We would set the world's price. As a result of being able to do that, we could have a higher price, and we could pass on the surplus profit to workers. Workers were now unionized after the New Deal. We had huge demand for college graduates, and so we passed the GI Bill. Here's a classroom full of GI Bill students at Purdue, 1950. They don't look exactly like Joe College in 1880. You can see that we're now expanding. We're moving down the ranks somewhat and pulling in a larger percentage of people to go to college, and we're using the diploma as the filter into decent jobs. Okay, now, we move ahead now to to 1970. The workers' paradise is over. What's happened is that we're suffering from terrific competition. Germany and Japan are out competing us. Their students are scoring better on tests. They're doing fantastic. So what happens? They essentially take all the industrial labor out of our country. So we outsource the industrial labor. We also analyze the industrial labor and downskill it. And the result is we drive out all of the benefits to high school graduates. All of those high school graduates are going to the better industrial jobs. There are no jobs for them. They are unemployed, or they're flipping burgers, or they are mowing lawns, or sweeping the floors, or parking cars. And if you're going to get a decent job, you've got to go to college. If you want a decent job, you have to go to college. So here is what college looks like in 1990 in the state universities. It looks a lot different. Okay, good. So now we can say, Joe College, boy, you're lucky. You're the only one qualified for a decent job. Okay, Joe's story is now reaching its tragic conclusion. The same things we did to the high school kids, we now start doing to the college, because computer software and information communication technologies make it possible to either reanalyze the jobs that college kids are doing, the analytical jobs. Just think, Big Blue can beat the Gary Kasparov and the world's chess champion. Just think what Big Blue can do to your accounting department. Okay, we can replace lots of college students with computer software, just like we replaced industrial workers with industrial robots. So Joe is now, for the first time, facing downsizing. He's being outsourced to India. Look, we have these radiologists in India. They can, get the X-ray by mail and send you back the analysis before the hospital closes at the end of the day. Or those teams of software engineers in Bangalore, and they can get the work that their team has to do and get it back to you before the American shop opens up in the morning. So Joe College is now entering the ranks of the underemployed and the unemployed, and recent college graduates are not doing well. 50% of recent college graduates, okay, have been unable to find steady work with benefits in positions that are appropriate to their training. In fact, employers are no longer hiring them that way. They're beginning to hire in the market. They are beginning to work, the college graduates are beginning to work as contract laborers. I'll say a little bit about this. The internet has really, let me take this, put this sign back here. The internet has really not helped the college graduate at this point. Why? It's a little bit of heavy lifting, but try to think about this for a moment. With the internet, people can learn all kinds of advanced skills online. Even before MOOCs, there were all kinds of resources through open courseware and the like for people to acquire tremendous skills, to collaborate with others, to exchange ideas, to work together, and to now with the Web 2.0 technologies, they can make it clear what they know, they can demonstrate everything that they produced, they can make YouTubes of all their great things, and they can make themselves visible to teams, to networks of people on teams, and to future employers. And future employers can go find them. They go up to LinkedIn or a number of other sites or the YouTube, and they find all kinds of young people. They also, all the big firms are now getting their employees to go out and find hot prospects, not for steady jobs with benefits, but to join work teams on contract basis. So that, hey, find somebody who can really program in Python. Hey, find somebody who can really do a tremendous job with video editing. And bring them on this team for you. Some people call this the Hollywood method. It's, the studios no longer work with employees. They gather teams together for a particular movie. When the movie's finished, the talent disappears. So now college graduates are beginning to have to fight in the market. The transaction costs to employers for finding excellent talent have dropped radically because of the internet. They can find them without having to need to find them through the job fair at the state university. The result is that the extra benefit for holding a degree is beginning to decline, and instead of getting a steady job with benefits, you're now hired on a contract basis. So let me go to the contract employment side. More and more, the biggest growing field, growing by 300, 400%, is contract employment. Luke Lewis of Microsoft says, contract workers, they do only the part of the project where their capabilities are needed. They're experts at it. Boom, boom, they're finished. They're gone. No benefits, no steady work when their workload is not too high. Leonard Wells of Live Ops, which is a firm that sells contract workers to the firms, says the benefit is you can find all the talent you need. And when the need is gone, the talent disappears. So we're moving now into the stage where there is, for the first time, more college graduates and more college students than the economy can absorb. The diploma is no longer getting what it needed, and what's happening is that the economic elites know this. And so they influence the state legislatures. The state legislatures withdraw their tuition subsidy, and tuition is now on the back of the students. Students' tuition is skyrocketing, but their job prospects are declining. So students are caught in a pinch. To finish college at the high tuition rates, they have to borrow, and they go into debt, and when they graduate from college, they find that there is not very much steady work with benefits for them. They are really squeezed. Peter Thiel, a venture capitalist and the founder of PayPal, says that college is the last American bubble. Even after the real estate bubble collapsed in 2007, college is the real bubble. A true bubble, he says, is when something is overvalued and intensely believed. Education may be the only thing people still believe in the United States today. To question education, now that's really dangerous. It's the absolute taboo. It's like telling the world there's no Santa Claus. So when you tell a young 18 to 22-year-old person who knows that the only way they can possibly get a great job is to go to college, and you tell them, actually, that's not true. On the one hand, college is not going to get you a great job. On the other hand, it's going to be very expensive. It's going to drive you into debt. And you can even get a great job without college if you really find something you really want to work at it and become really an expert and make yourself visible to networks of people who the employers are urging to go find talent for their teams. So that's the situation we're at today. Joe College, you're screwed. That is going back to our first slide here, if we can do that. This is where we are today. That's the problem. Okay, so let me move on then to part 2 of my talk about MOOCs. It's a bit shorter, but I'm going to try to say something about how MOOCs can help, and also some things about how they can help. Okay, so starting around 2011 and 12, we started having the big MOOC providers. Now, these MOOC providers were Coursera, edX, and Udacity, and what they promised was college courses for everyone at the highest level, from the best professors in the best schools, for free, for everyone. all over the world. Now you can see how this plays into the college trap, the debt trap. You go to college for free, you don't have to borrow money, you don't go into debt. But you get an excellent college education, you can learn everything that they learn in college, or at least, let's say, a hell of a lot of what you can learn in college. And you can learn it and get a certificate, so you can demonstrate it. So now you show your future employer on YouTube the cool things you can do. You show them all your badges from Coursera and edX and Udacity. And in fact, Coursera started a employment agency. They sold employment agency rights to all these big firms in Silicon Valley, and they said, look, we'll tell you our best performers on our MOOCs, and you can hire them. And so the firms would be paying Coursera a fee to find out who are the best students. So here is the proposed solution to the trap. Okay. The big deal is, look, college for free. The problem with this is that very few college students took to the MOOC idea. Among the 18 to 22-year-olds, very few of them took MOOCs, very few of them completed MOOCs, and not only that, but until very recently, only a tiny fraction even knew that those existed. So they were not actually finding this appealing. When MOOCs were substituted for college courses, like in San Jose State University in California, and then a MOOC version and a live version, the students in the MOOC version failed in much higher numbers, so it dropped out and they couldn't complete the courses. MOOCs have shown themselves to be not very successful. We go back to the non-traditional students here. It turns out these students are not prepared. They don't have the self-discipline, the motivation, the literacy skills, the project-making skills, and the like to learn from MOOCs. MOOCs are not answering their problem. Now, most of the problems that come up from MOOCs, there's been a hot debate about MOOCs, and all kinds of problems have been found about MOOCs. Problems about people cheating on MOOCs, not earning the certificate but just cheating on it, or not completing the courses, or standards not being high, or they're discriminating against these non-traditional students, because it turns out that the successful MOOC students are generally well-educated white males who are really prepared for this. I want you to notice that all of these problems stem from the fact that we think of MOOCs as college courses. MOOCs were put forward as alternative courses at the college level, but all the problems that we have been discussing are about that particular image of MOOCs. As Stephen Downes, who is one of the founders of the Connectivist MOOCs, has said, who ever worries about whether you completed the newspaper or whether you cheated on the newspaper? There are all kinds of ways of learning. These problems are specific problems to college courses. So if we start thinking, well, maybe we could think about MOOCs in a way that doesn't make them college courses. Now that's a very interesting thought. Maybe we could think about MOOCs as a good way to kind of address parts, at least, of the college debt problem and of the college trap without thinking it's an alternative to college. Remember, we already have lots of college graduates. We have college graduates competing with the college graduates coming out of China and India and Malaysia and Singapore and other very high-performing countries for the global job market. Do we really, really think that the answer is producing more college graduates? I don't think that's necessarily the best idea. Okay, so suppose we start thinking about MOOCs in a slightly different way. Let me move on to my next slide. I want to talk about the horseless carriage syndrome. That is, we think about, when we first made cars, we thought of them as alternatives to the horse carriage. And if you take a look at them, you can see that actually all we did is we put an engine inside here instead of a horse. We didn't do anything else to change the look. We genuinely thought of the horseless carriage, the automobile, as a horse carriage without a horse. Okay? Now, there's a problem with the now I'm saying we're doing the same thing with MOOCs. We're thinking about the MOOC as the horseless college. We're not thinking about new possibilities. We're not thinking outside the box. We're not thinking, how can we make our MOOC platforms really serve the people in a more effective way than by just adding to college. Here is a quote from two of the top strategists at Microsoft on the horseless carriage syndrome. They said, when cars emerged in the early 20th century, they were initially called horseless carriages. Understandably, people viewed the invention through the lens of the paradigm that had been dominant for centuries, the horse and the carriage. The first cars also looked very similar to horse and carriage, just without the horse, as engineers initially failed to understand the new possibilities for the new paradigm, such as building to higher speed and safety. Incredibly, engineers kept designing the whip holes into the early models before realizing that a horseless carriage didn't need a whip holder. So I'm saying this is a good analogy for thinking about where MOOCs can go, where MOOCs can take us. We have to get beyond the horseless carriage syndrome. Initially, these Microsoft strategists say there was a broad failure to fully comprehend the new automobile paradigm. Even the early pioneers of the car didn't fully grasp the potential impact that their work could have on the world. Daimler, for example, the first large manufacturer of automobiles, thought, well, maybe all told, there might be, like 1 million cars sold. Now there are, more than, 100 million cars. So what they failed to realize was the profound reductions in both cost and complexity of operating cars and a dramatic increase in their importance in daily life, and that would overwhelm the old horseless carriage paradigm. So you start building new highways, you start putting driverless training into the schools, et cetera, et cetera. Pretty soon the horseless carriage is not the right model for thinking about the automobile. Okay, so let's, if I can, move on here just a bit. Okay, so what have we learned so far? We've learned that MOOCs are not serving the college set well. They're not interested, they're not taking MOOCs, they're not passing or completing MOOCs they take. But MOOCs have many other audiences that are highly successful. Professionals seeking further development. Many of these people have advanced degrees. They don't want any more college, and they don't want any more college courses either. They want professional development, so they sign up for a MOOC. They pick and choose the little pieces of it that they want. They don't complete it, and they move on. The same thing is true about educated people who want personal and cultural development. They sign up for a MOOC, they take some pieces of it, they rarely complete it, and they move on. So MOOCs are actually serving people not as big courseware, but as libraries of materials that people can actually use. A website that is really interesting, but that I couldn't get a good photograph of, is Allison.com. So let me tell you about Allison.com. Allison was the first MOOC. It was started in 2007, and it offers courses that are of very practical, immediate need for people throughout the workplace. They now have 600 courses, and they serve 3 million people. Some of them here in North America, some in Europe, many in the third world countries in Africa and Asia, especially in Africa where there's no infrastructure for education, where most of the workers never went to high school, never completed anything like high school. Africa is growing economically. There's a lot of investment in Africa. We're seeing in Africa, when we first started in 1870 in the United States, there's a huge demand for knowledgeable workers, but there is no infrastructure to supply them. Allison is doing that by providing tons of courses on its MOOC platform. Now, Allison's courses are not like college courses. They don't look like college courses. The average Allison course is an hour and a half. Programming this little piece of Python, learning how to do this particular part of bookkeeping. So they're just-in-time education. The worker says, oh, I got this thing in my job, and I have to be able to do this. I go to Allison, I study for an hour and a half, I can do it. Now I get to the next thing, I go back to Allison, I do that. It's just-in-time education. Now I want you to notice that there's something very similar between the professionals who are seeking professional development on MOOCs, which is the biggest audience, and the Allison students who, the professional guys, they all have college degrees, and many of them have advanced degrees. The Allison students haven't even finished high school. But the common feature is they're not looking for a college course. In other words, they're not looking for the Horseless college. They're looking for usable knowledge in the size pieces that fit their needs. So that's what we can start thinking about providing in the next generation of MOOCs. Shorter, less concerned with completion, less concerned with tests and measures, less concerned with discussion boards and the like, more concerned with meetup groups, with blended instruction, with help in getting and learning the particular pieces in mind. I want to bring in my next slide, MOOC.org. MOOC.org is a collaboration of edX and Google. And Stanford has also provided all of this old courseware that was first used for Udacity and Coursera to this project as well. MOOC.org is going to be an open source platform where anybody can create a high-powered MOOC. So as a teacher, as a college teacher, as a school counselor, whatever, here are all the tools. You can make your own quite decent MOOC for very, very low cost. So what I'm seeing developing is a huge expansion in the MOOC space for all kinds of providers. Now, I want to now talk a little bit about what is actually happening in the MOOC space right now. So we're saying, okay, up till now, we've had the Horseless College. We've had MOOCs that are college course length, that have all of the advantages of college courses, but also all of the problems that arise because of thinking of those college courses. In the recent months, new MOOC providers, that is, new people who are making MOOCs, who are creating MOOCs, are no longer only colleges and universities, spreading to all the colleges and universities, and not just them, but junior colleges, even high schools, okay? But now they're starting to have industrial firms, big businesses, non-governmental organizations, government agencies, all creating MOOCs. Among the recent MOOCs that have looked interesting to me, Linux and IBM have teamed up on the edX platform to create a MOOC on enterprise computing, for training enterprise, the management information systems guys. It's Linux and IBM who know this stuff, not some professor. So they're offering the MOOC. Linux is offering the full Linux training course as a MOOC. $2,400 it costs regularly. Now you get the whole course for free. Why is Linux doing this? Because it wants more and more people using Linux, obviously. Okay. SAP, a big industrial firm. There's a door. Sorry about that. And then
Can you do this? How are you doing? Good.
Okay, hold on, excuse me. Someone, get her out of here. Okay. You can get out with her. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so SAP, a big industrial firm, they are creating MOOCs for their customers. How to use our products. They're creating MOOCs for their supply chain. How to create good supplies for our industrial production. In other words, take a look at what's happening. MOOCs are gravitating away from the university space. We're having MOOCs. The World Bank has produced a series of MOOCs for policymakers on climate change. The European Central Bank, as far as I understand, has created a MOOC for training central bankers. The idea is MOOCs are now being created for the actual users, not for the college students. And what's happening is that they are these institutions that are creating them, these new ones, the World Bank, the Museum of Modern Art is creating MOOCs. They're creating MOOCs for their actual users. They're not creating a college course, no longer Horseless College. So what we want to say is both the teachers, the providers of MOOCs, and the MOOC students have gone beyond college. And because of MOOC.org, all of us now have the capability of creating MOOCs. So how does this then pertain to the college debt problem? Go get back here to the college debt problem. Here we go. The answer is, for a large number of people, not everybody, many people still go to college, many of those still get good steady jobs and benefits, but a lot of them will not. Now, for a lot of people, they don't have to go to college. Last year, Google, who has its pick and choose of anybody, 14% of the people they hired for their professional work did not have college degrees. They're finding them through their network, through their employees, through YouTube, through the ways in which these people make themselves visible and demonstrate their capacities. So, like those Allison students in Africa, who can find what they need, can find out how to do this, how to find work that they want to do, how to really get expert at it, do online courses, how to make themselves visible. College is no longer as necessary as it was. It's no longer an effective filter. Just about everybody who could go is going, and the result is it filters out nobody. Everybody gets through, but the number of jobs for them are declining. So what we need is a rich infrastructure of ways of learning how to support our work in the world and make ourselves visible. One of the implications of this, then, for the schools. Students are still going to need tons of knowledge and skill. And they're going to need 20th century or 21st century skills to be able to learn how to do cool things, learn how to become expert at them, learn how to make themselves visible, learn the motivation, self-discipline, goal setting, self-assessment, reliability, and self-management that they need to be able to pull this off without teachers hand-holding them all the way. And they're going to need great facility with all these Web 2.0 tools, all the graphics tools, all of the YouTube and LinkedIn and all of these things, even MOOC.org. And they're going to need soft skills for building relationships, for networking with people, for forming solid relations, for working well in teams, and the like. None of these new skills can be learned through a curriculum. So the high schools have to stop putting as much emphasis on college prep, which is a road to nowhere for many of their students, and put more emphasis on these 21st century skills, on search, on how to find, discover, synthesize, integrate knowledge, and then how to express it in your own creative expression, how to make yourself visible. Schools can help by mentoring students. They can help by providing spaces for reflection and coaching. They can help at the margin with workshops and seminars on these 21st century skills. But the most important thing they can do is they can help learners find themselves into real-world situations, not simulations. No simulation is going to connect you with a network. They can find you into real-world situations where you can learn and grow and need knowledge, and then the backgrounds of all of this available MOOC education can serve you like it serves the Allison students as needed and as long as you need it as you gain greater and greater skill. So MOOCs have become everyday learning resources, free learning resources for people who can find their way into the new opportunities without having to earn a college diploma, go into debt, and then get disappointed by the situation of not finding a good job. And that's it. Let's find my last slide. That's it. That's all, folks. So we have a couple of people here, and if we have any questions, I would be glad to take them.
Thanks so much, Leonard. And you guys, if you have any questions, you can feel free to either type them in the chat or raise your hand, and I'll go ahead and turn on your microphone. Leonard, I see you have a question in the chat there. How will the self-preservation mode of colleges respond?
Okay. Good. Well, colleges are suffering. 50% of them lost enrollments last year after decades of rapid expansion and hence capital expansion and building buildings. They hired new professors and tenure and the like. Well, they also hired a lot of part-timers because they're kind of aware of all of what's facing them. They are in trouble. Moody's had a very interesting report last year that showed that the college sector is suffering in its credit rating. They can't borrow money because 50% of these universities lost revenues. They are losing enrollment. So how are they going to move into the self-preservation mode? They've already done a lot. Look, when I was going to college, there were maybe 10% adjuncts teaching classes. Now adjuncts handle 70% of the teaching. They teach large undergraduate courses. So professors are not teaching very much, and they're on contract. How are they going to respond? They may respond by actually having to get rid of professors. There is a wonderful quote that I found in an article in the Financial Times just a couple of weeks ago. It said, business schools faced with trail catastrophe from MOOCs. Well, because as MOOCs make business education available, people don't have to go to business schools, and business schools are suffering from declining enrollments. How are they going to preserve themselves? It's a very, very good question. But I will say this, society is not the college professor self-defense fund. There are bloggers like Jonathan Lees who keeps urging the professors to circle the wagon, to prevent MOOCs, et cetera, et cetera. You can't do that. There's not going to be any way they can do it. The colleges cannot offer credit for them. They can. Although, let me tell you, I think that colleges will start offering credit for them. Not the top colleges, but the colleges at the bottom. The colleges that can't get students. The colleges that are losing enrollment. Take a college. I mean, there are already many examples. Ashford College, good case in point. Look, they've been called a scam. They've lost their credit rating. They're in terrible shape. They've recently announced, by their new CEO, they'll take up to 90 credits in transfer, and they will take any MOOC that has been accepted by the American Council of Education, which has been certifying many MOOCs as perfectly equivalent college courses. They'll take any of them for credit. Why would you do this? Well, they can get 90 credits in transfer, but they can still sell 30 credits. Well, that's 30 more credits they might be able to sell. So you can see that it's a way of kind of work around the high cost of college. They'll sell you a year of college. You supply the rest yourself. They'll give you a diploma. Okay, so we have another thing in the chat room here. It says, how can MOOCs be used in the space of teacher professional development in order to integrate the national, state, and district demands? Okay, first of all, let me say that there are already excellent MOOCs on Coursera that are being used for teacher professional development in exactly this way. And so teachers, by the way, many teachers have, all teachers have college degrees now, and most of them have master's degrees. They don't need more college. So again, the Horseless college problem is important here. The teachers need usable information. Suppose there's a whole new thing, connectivism, or the flipped classroom. Teachers need to learn about it. They need to see demonstrations. So they need MOOCs of the Allison.com variety, an hour and a half. Here's a demonstration of a connectivist classroom, or here's a demonstration of a flipped classroom. Now, this is very interesting. Allison has two kinds of classes. It has the short course that you get a certificate for. That is an hour and a half long. But it also has something called the diploma. It's not like a college diploma. It's 12 hours in length. It's a third of the length of a college course. But what it does is it takes a bunch of the certificates and bundles them together. So as opposed to teaching me some professional development hours, They can go up, they can take, see some demonstrations of flip classes, some demonstrations of use of new internet technology, a demonstration of a classroom where there's a Google jockey, a demonstration of a class that's meeting all of these state and national standards. And they can say, oh, I got it, okay, I can do that, I can try that. So that's an excellent use of MOOCs. They are already available, and the new MOOCs for teachers, I think, are going to have less of the horseless college. You got to sign up for 6 weeks and do 3 hours of work a night. I think that's going to phase out. But I want to talk also about teacher professional development and national, state, and district standards. All of these standards are built into the idea that we have to increase our students' learning in STEM, that we have to increase our students' carry through, that will pull them through high school and not drop them out, and will prepare them for college. So we have high standards to get kids to college. In my view, this is a big mistake. This is not helping the problem. This is simply tightening the noose of the college trap. And that's a mixed metaphor. It's tightening, it's getting that big boot stamping down on our kids again. We don't need to be training them on high work-life standards for college because the jobs for college graduates are declining. What we need are people who can find work, who can connect to other people, who can learn as they go, and who can get all the knowledge they need, including perhaps eventually going to college because they got a great job that actually requires college. But before that even, they need to be learning how to network, how to work on a team, how to demonstrate their product's effectiveness and the like. So I would say schools need to drop back from all of the standards and start moving into these 21st century skills I mentioned, which are Web 2.0 skills. Okay, do I have another question here? Some of the comments that San Jose State University's library school is doing the same thing. It's giving MOOC credits. Why not? And it's a great way for the schools. Temple has a very good idea, I think, my own university. They have their own MOOCs in the business school, and they tell students, look, you take our business school MOOCs, and you can pass an exam, and you can get, you don't get credit for the course exactly, as you don't get 3 more credits, but you can pass into more advanced courses. So for the same tuition dollars, you can get a much more advanced education. I think that's it's a good deal, telling the kids, look, get a master's degree, but you already have a lot of the basis for the master's level training, so you can get a much more advanced training for the same dollars. I think a lot of schools will be doing that. They'll be finding ways of making a better offer, a kind of value plus offer, by using MOOCs, not so much as credits, but as ways of moving to a higher level. What's really interesting, I think, now is that Coursera has its new signature program, which has not one college course, but like a whole major. You can take 7 courses in, let's say, enterprise computing. And you have the equivalent for a master's degree. Well, it's not quite the equivalent of a master's degree, but you could easily imagine a business school that's really suffering from this competition saying, look, you finish those Coursera signature courses in enterprise computing, and we will give you like 9 units, and you only have to take 9 units in our course to get your master's degree. So I think that might be part of the future there as well. Are there any other questions? Soft skills. Yes, of course, we all agree that that's important. Amy says like a pathway.
I was just thinking when you were describing the set of MOOCs that you could take together. That's kind of like a course pathway or some sort of direction based on someone's personal interest or skills building or whatever.
Yes, it's like having something like a college major without actually having to go to college. But I think that but then that raises the question, geez, what are the colleges going to do? And we're very much in the early stages of this. But I think the colleges are going to suffer. I think a lot of them will go under. I think we'll have a decline in the percentage of people going to college. Look, there's plenty of work to do. There's plenty of needs in the world to fill. It was a kind of accident. It was kind of accident that we used the college diploma as the filter for so many of these jobs. We used the college diploma so people wanted to get a college diploma. The college diploma was helping the employers by reducing their transaction costs so they could hire people more easily, and they could pass on some of the savings to the students in better jobs, higher wages, more benefits, etc. That is being undercut now. Being undercut by the internet. That's the bad news. The internet makes it possible for firms to find people more easily. The transactions costs go down. At the same time, so many college students that the college filter is no longer very effective. But the good news is students can also use the internet to hook up with their workplaces, to learn all kinds of new skills, to make themselves visible online. So they can create pathways that are not diploma pathways. Now, the university is going to counter that by making it easier to find diploma pathways which include MOOCs like this San Jose State Library School and like Ashford College.
Leonard, thank you so much for this presentation. This has been really great, and I think you've raised a lot of really important questions that, and created a sort of narrative around a lot of questions that we hear all the time in our network. So thank you for that. And if anyone has any last-minute questions, please feel free to ask. Elizabeth says, how do we define success in a MOOC?
Oh, yeah. Well, the MOOC has been defining success as course completion, passing the MOOC. And, of course, only 4% of people who sign up for MOOCs complete them. So it shows you that there's something wrong with the model. It's the Horseless college model. That's the wrong way to think. You don't try to, that's not success. For an Allison students, they're at the job, okay? They are, or for a professional development guy or a teacher. They're teaching, they hear about the flipped classroom, they're kind of frightened, they don't know what it is, they haven't tried it. They can take an hour and a half with a demonstration or explanation, man, they're good to go. The success for them was, wow, now I can do it. So, and then, wow, now I can actually go on to the next segment. I can go from my certificate course to my Allison diploma, which is like a third of a course, right? Now I can move on. Maybe I can even take one of those signature sequences from the Coursera. So the idea is success is going to be defined not by the institution, not by the Horseless college. It's going to be defined by the student who's getting what he or she needs by actually taking advantage of this background, this rich background of terrific education. And I think that's it, right? We're pretty much out of time.
Thanks again, Leonard. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. Thank you again.
Oh, wait a second, we have one last question here. How to get the funding? This is good. And the problem to get the funding because we're stuck in the old model. Okay, let me just answer that question briefly. I want to tell you how Allison does this. Allison works like sites that support themselves on advertising. Allison has Google search ads on all of their courses. Now, why does that succeed? It succeeds because for the North American and European students, these students are already employed, they're already in the workplace, they have money, they are a very valuable demographic for advertisers. So they can sell ads on Allison at a very high rate, and Allison gets the money that subsidizes the students in Africa and the third world in Bangladesh and the like. That Mike Thiel, who's the founder of Allison, says every North American student who registers subsidizes 18 students in Africa. So that's where the funding is going to come from. I think, when you think about SAP and these other things, they'll fund their own MOOCs because they're getting a huge advantage out of being able to train their customers on their new products and train their suppliers. So I think, the trick is, and MoMA, they will fund their own MOOCs because it gives them a more educated and enthusiastic audience. Okay, and I think now we are ready to say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much. It's been a great opportunity. Bye, Amy.